Councilman Jones to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do any of the board members have any additions or changes to the agenda? If not, are there any conflicts of interest that any board members have with the agenda items? All right. At this time, I will open the public hearing on the fire and rescue services contract with Harris Corners Fire Company for 2026 through 2030. And in order to ensure that there are sufficient times for anyone who wants to speak on this to attend the hearing, we will handle some of our financial matters in the next few minutes. This time, there are no transfers within accounts for tonight's meeting. We have general fund vouchers that were audited prior to the meeting. Vouchers 592 to 609, totaling $12,485.23. Highway fund vouchers 398 to 421, totaling $50,200.80. Colesville water vouchers 55 to 58, totaling $3,936.35. Colesville light vouchers number 7 for $171.89. Were there any questions during the audit on any of the bills that are submitted for payment? Okay. I have a motion from Councilman Mullen to pay the bills.
I'll second that.
I have a second from Councilman Berger. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. You have copies of the monthly report of the supervisor with the balances as of the end of August. I do want to note that in the highway fund, we received this week the state aid reimbursement from the CHIPS claims, CHIPS and extreme winter recovery. So there was a deposit of $185,000 into the account. And we will be, the $150 that's set up in the CD under highway fund is money for the payment on the new truck. Any questions regarding the monthly report? If not, can I get a motion to approve it?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the supervisor's monthly report. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. At this time, we'll open the floor for comments on the proposed 2026 through 2030 contract with Harris Corners Fire Company. The dollar amounts, well, I'll read the resolution for adoption of the contract. The town board hereby approves a contract for services in the following amounts. 2026, $40,217.50 for fire services and $2,000 emergency medical services. 2027, $41,826.20 for fire services and $20,000 emergency medical services. And $2,000 for emergency medical services. 2028, $43,499.30 for fire services, $2,000 for emergency medical services. 2029, $45,239.22 for fire services, and $20,000 emergency medical services. 2,000. And 2030, $47,048.79 for fire services, and $2,000 emergency medical services.
There's 5 of us up here.
Thank you. I was gonna blame my new glasses, but I still can't wear them, so these are old. All right,
So what's the percentage for your tree something?
4%. Yeah, the letter from Nick Hirsch, president, they said we are asking for a 4% raise per year for the next 5 years. As you know, costs are always rising, and this will help us to maintain our hall and equipment to better serve the community. And that is for the fire services. The emergency medical services, that amount had been $1,500, and Harris Corners contracts with Strikersville Fire to provide rescue call services for emergency medical, and Strikersville is increasing their contract. And so that dollar amount is split between Harris Corners, or between Sheldon and the town of Bennington. Both of them going up $500.
But it's flat.
But it's flat, yes. And it's been several years, I believe, since that dollar amount has gone up for emergency medical. Is there anyone here who has any questions or comments they would like to make on this?
My only thing is, when we get the check for the rescue, can that be sent right to Strikersville instead of me, or to Harris Corners?
Okay, we'll have to make sure the contract is read that way,
Okay.
so we can.
A lot of times, all of a sudden, I forgot, got the money, didn't send it to me. That's one of those bills that I kind of forget to send out sometimes.
I would think Strikersville would be
You would
holding
think
on
so.
contact.
We trust them.
Yeah.
We know what it is.
I got it to you this last month.
Yeah, you have to just name it. We talked about it in there.
So where is it going to go? Strikersville
What's that?
Fire Department?
Strikersville Volunteer Fire Company Incorporated. It's 594 Maple Road.
Any other questions or comments regarding this?
Yes. So what you currently spend prior to this, are you managing enough? Or is it working out with what these past year's dollars assigned to this?
What's that?
So if we have 40,000, where are your costs coming in based on that? Are you in line with what this expectation is, or are you sublining with other stuff?
Harris Corners is a fire site, that's the 40,000.
Yeah.
And then the 2,000 goes to the Strikersville for ambulance service.
But is that in line with what you guys are seeing?
Yeah,
That's the question.
I think we're okay with that increase. We went over it. I went over my books and.
Same here as Strikersville.
Okay.
It was the same level of increase that we contracted with Sheldon, Town of Sheldon portion of Sheldon Fire Department.
Okay.
It was the same amounts. And it went to a 5-year contract this time.
Okay, so a question I have, and I know you do fundraising for the fire department or whatever. And I know Strikersville does fundraising. Do you keep that separate from the EMS? Is there fundraising for that, or do they get a portion of it, or?
So our ambulance, the way our department's structured, Strikersville Volunteer Fire Department is the banner, is the host. And then within that banner, that name is the Strikersville Rescue Squad.
Okay,
Okay, so it's not two separate entities or anything like that.
okay,
It's the same, so it's a joint effort, you know, covering costs on both sides, because we contract with multiple two towns now. Town of Jago and Town of Sheldon, and a small portion of the town of Bennington, in conjunction with Harris Corners.
And that's because you don't have a fire, ambulance, right?
You know, and,
Okay.
They do respond out, and initiate care, because obviously they're a whole lot closer, and then we come in and do the transfers.
I have a comment. So, yesterday I was going down Buffalo Hill, and I got there right as the accident happened, and the ambulance was there probably within, I'm gonna say 15 to 20 minutes. Just the speed that they, you know, they came and they answered the call with, and again, it was 4 o'clock, it was right around 4 o'clock, I think, when the accident happened. And for somebody to be there, for them able to man it, I gotta commend them on that.
Well, technically, to be honest with you, that was Harrisburg ambulance.
Oh, it was very
Yeah,
big.
and
Okay, from that way.
Wyoming County ambulance.
Okay,
So there's an ambulance based on the Wyoming County EMS program, that we
Okay.
started up, it's about 2 years old now. There's an ambulance generally based in Sheldon and at the hospital, and then there's a fly car that's around.
oh, okay, because it came down the hill, so I thought.
Right, yeah, that was probably the Sheldon Medicaid 2, they call it. It was
Okay.
up there, and they got.
Well, either way, it was there in about
And
20
then
minutes.
yes,
15 minutes.
yeah. And then make sure Harris Corners owned up very good to assist and stuff.
And I'm just gonna add, what's your count, how many firemen do you have?
20, maybe, I'm not sure if we're even at that number.
And I just wanted to mention, because I know we have some people in the room who aren't fire department personnel, but one of the constraints that fire departments, whether it's fire service or rescue service, operate under are the state mandates and requirements for equipment and supplies that the fire departments have on hand. You know, they get stuff in that they buy that they may not even need to use, or they may use it, you know, sparingly, and it has a life expectancy and has to be replaced. Even though it's still perfectly good, it's like they've had it for 5 years and the state says you have to replace it, so. That's one of the frustrating things that adds to the budget too, so.
Oh, and even on, like, call yesterday in Buffalo Hill or any major MBA, that $2,000 isn't gonna cover the supplies you're gonna go through.
No.
It'll eat it up in a hurry,
Yeah.
with the price of this stuff nowadays. And like you said, we're throwing stuff away because it expired.
You know, that comes in on the part of the operations, you know, replacing these vehicles is horrendous nowadays, and, there were some discussions today, with some speakers of the House and stuff down in DC, trying to figure out why, you know, after COVID, why the increases, super increases in the delay in delivery of all our apparatus and ambulances. It takes a couple of years to buy the ladder truck, once you order,
How many?
couple of years at least. And a $1.2 million ladder truck is now about 2.4 million for a ladder truck. Since 2021, 22, 20, it's gone crazy.
And they probably keep getting better technology on it too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they're talking electric even. I'm sure I'll ask
Well,
them.
sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? If not, can I get a motion to close the public hearing? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, so under unfinished business, we have resolution number 1. Whereas the Bennington Town Board has held a duly advertised public hearing on the 17th day of September 2025 regarding the 2026 to 2030 contract between the town and the Harris Corners Fire Company for fire and emergency medical services. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby approves a contract for services in the following amounts: 2026, $40,270.50 for fire services and $2,000 emergency medical services. 2027, $41,826.20 for fire services and $2,000 emergency medical services. 2028, $43,499.30 for fire services and $2,000 emergency medical services. 2029, $45,239.22 for fire services and $2,000 emergency medical services. In 2030, $47,048.79 for fire services and $2,000 emergency medical services. And be it further resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to sign the above approved agreement on behalf of the town. Any questions from the board on this contract? If not, can I get a motion to approve the contract?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And resolution number 2, approval of borrowing for Harris Corners Fire Company. Be it resolved that the members of the town board of the town of Bennington, Wyoming County, New York, upon reading the appointment of hearing officers executed by Ellen Grant, supervisor, dated August 13th, 2025, the notice of public hearing posted on the Town of Bennington website at least 7 days prior to the public hearing, and the report of the hearing officer dated August 27th, 2025, for the public hearing held on August 27th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Hereby approve the approval of borrowing attached hereto, and further direct that the Bennington Town Supervisor execute such approval of borrowing on behalf of the town board. And I will read, before we make a motion and vote on this, I will read what the approval of borrowing includes. Approval of borrowing by elected representatives of political subdivision contracting for firefighting services. I, Ellen Grant, supervisor of the town of Bennington, in accordance with the requirements of section 147 and related sections of and regulations under the Internal Revenue Code, and in reliance upon certain recommendations and other information submitted to me and subsequent to a duly conducted public hearing concerning the matter, do hereby approve the borrowing and issuance of an obligation evidencing such indebtedness by the Harris Corners Fire Department, Inc., Volunteer Fire Department, from the Bank of Greene County for the financing of the purchase by the Volunteer Fire Department of a certain piece of firefighting apparatus. The proposed purchase is from Pierce Manufacturing. The obligation is in the maximum principal amount of $150,000. The piece of firefighting apparatus is to be used for the provision of fire protection service to the town of Bennington pursuant to the current contract between the Volunteer Fire Company and the town of Bennington. The firefighting equipment is to be garaged at 585 US Route 20A, Strikersville, New York. Execution of this document in no way creates a liability on the part of the town of Bennington, and the town of Bennington is not responsible for the repayment of any bonds issued pursuant thereto. Any questions from the board members on this resolution? And just to follow up to the comment made earlier, it's like the full price of this piece of equipment is not $150,000. Yeah, the company has been saving money towards this and is also receiving.
We got another loan out there too.
Yeah. So, can I get a motion to approve the borrowing?
I'll second.
Okay, you got a motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Is there any other unfinished business? Okay, new business, resolution number 3. Authorize the highway superintendent to advertise for bids for a dump truck with plow. Be it resolved that the town highway superintendent is hereby authorized to solicit bids and advertise for the purchase of a 2026 dump truck equipped with frame and plow, and be it further resolved that bids shall be due in the office of the town clerk no later than 5 p.m. on October 1st, 2025, and to be open at 5:15 p.m. that same day, and be it further resolved that the town board is authorized and directed to award the purchase of said equipment to the lowest responsible bidder at a meeting of the town board, to be held in October, and we need to decide on the date, and this would be awarding this bid and also having our budget workshop session, which we'll talk about at the next resolution. If you could check your schedules.
October,
Mm-hmm.
October 8th is a meeting.
Right.
Maybe go, or one of the dates we have?
First.
October 1st. We can get together either on the 1st or on the 2nd.
First.
October 1st?
Yep.
All right.
What time?
At 6:30? So award to the lowest responsible bidder at a meeting of the town board to be held on October 1st, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
And I have a second on this resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay. Resolution 4, set date of the 2026 budget workshop session. Be it resolved that the Bennington Town Board will meet on October 1st, 2025 at 6:45 p.m. o'clock at the Town Hall, 905 Old Allegheny Road, Attica, New York, to review and make changes to the tentative 2026 town budget, and be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to advertise the same in the legal newspaper of the town.
October 1, you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Change that. All right. Can I get a motion on the budget workshop session?
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion, I have a second.
I'll second.
Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution number 5. And there are draft local law on the back table, and people have had an opportunity to pick them up. This, resolution number 5 is to hold a public hearing and make 239M referral regarding wind energy systems moratorium. This is a renewal of the existing moratorium we have in place as we're working on the wind energy law. Whereas the town board of the town of Bennington met at a regular board meeting at the town offices of the town of Bennington, located at 905 Old Allegheny Road, Attica, in the town of Bennington, New York, on the 17th day of September 2025, commencing at 7:30 p.m., at which time and place the following members were present: Supervisor Grant, council members Frownick, Moen, Dones, and Berger. Whereas all board members having due notice of said meeting, that pursuant to Article 7, Section 104 of the Public Officers Law, said meeting was open to the general public, and due and proper notice of the time and place whereof was given as required by law. And whereas the town board of the town of Bennington is considering a proposed local law known as a local law to extend the temporary moratorium on wind energy systems in the town of Bennington to temporarily halt development of wind energy system installations for an additional period of 6 months while the town continues to consider comprehensive zoning changes in the enactment of zoning measures to specifically address the matters of community concern. And whereas the town board of the town of Bennington has made meaningful and reasonable efforts to update and amend its zoning ordinance and local legislation during the course of the previous 6-month moratorium by consulting with municipal attorneys, the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, reviewing wind energy conversion laws adopted by other municipalities, as well as the research conducted by the Town of Bennington Wind Energy Committee. A 6-month extension to the initial moratorium on wind energy systems having been filed with the Department of State on May 6, 2025, and shall expire on November 6, 2025. And whereas the town board of the town of Bennington recognizes that this local law is a type 2 action under State Environmental Quality Review, SECRET, pursuant to 6 NYCRR Section 617.5C36, and therefore SECRET review will not be required as there are no adverse environmental impacts. And whereas pursuant to Section 239M of the General Municipal Law, said local law without supporting documents shall be submitted to the Wyoming County Planning Board for its comments. And whereas the town board of the town of Bennington finds that it's in the best interest of the town of Bennington to hold a public hearing on the adoption of said local law. Now, on a motion by, can we have a motion by the board member?
Me. Hello.
By motion by Councilman Berger, which has been duly seconded by Councilman Dones, be it resolved by the town board of the town of Bennington will hold a public hearing on the proposed local law on the 8th day of October 2026 at 7:30 p.m., at which time and place all interested parties and citizens for or against the proposed law will be heard. And be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Bennington shall make referral to the Wyoming County Planning Board as required by Section 239M of General Municipal Law. And be it further resolved that the town board determines that such action shall not be subject to seeker pursuant to 6 NYCRR Section 617.5C36. And be it further resolved, the town clerk shall hereby post notice of such public hearing and publish the notice of such public hearing in the town's official newspaper. Yeah. All right. So that's a lot said, just to say that we have a public hearing October 8th. And the hearing is merely on extending the moratorium. It's not a hearing on a wind energy law. That is still in a motion and I have a second. Is there any discussion by the board on this? Not, can I get a motion, or all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. This time we have minutes from the previous, July and August. We have regular sessions as well as special sessions that were being held.
Sure.
Take care.
What, you leaving?
I got another appointment.
So can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meetings?
I'll make a motion.
They've all been distributed to the board members and we will get them posted on the website then. A motion
I'll second
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Communications. I believe you said you had no communication.
I have no communications. I have Bennington Justice Court reports for July and August from Justice Lindsay. I have notice from New York State Teamsters Health and Hospital Fund regarding premium rates for the monthly health insurance premiums for the highway department employees, changes to the rates that are going into effect next year. Information from Unibit, it is a website platform for small local governments, and they would like to come out and meet with myself and our town clerk regarding updating our website, getting a new program vendor in there and making it compliant with the new requirements that state has for local government websites. No.
Okay.
I have open water accounts from the water clerk for the coastal water department. The letter from Bennington Volunteer Fire Company requesting a one-year contract to provide fire protection and ambulance services. So we will, I have some questions I want to go over with your officers on this contract, but we will be putting forth a resolution in October, once that's been clarified, to set a public hearing at the November board meeting. And they provided a copy of their 2026 budget. Have a mailing from New York State Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, regarding the flood insurance rate map and flood insurance study report for Wyoming County. And they're asking for municipalities to review those and also post where the information is available online, so individuals can look at that as well before that goes into effect.
Does that show where the flood?
No, it doesn't. We'll make a copy for you, for you to go online. That'll be posted on the website as well. Let's see. I had an email from New York State Association of Towns about looking for a town to host a grants assistance program workshop that they would like to hold in some small rural towns for either a half a day or evening workshop, where they come in and, all the towns in the area and they would like to do that in the latter part of October. So I provided them information about our town hall and how that could possibly work as a good site, certainly having 77 and the throughway exit as well as having Court Street would hopefully work.
Would you do like a luncheon?
Well, I don't think we'd be doing a luncheon, I'll just be, going through the different forms of the state has for things, so. Real property, Miami County Real Property Tax Services provided their final roll for 2026 taxable values. The town taxable value is $467,883,469, and the county taxable is $5 million less than that. Justice Court report for Justice Rosiniak for the month of July. The Genesee Finger Lakes is putting on their fall local government workshops, October 24th in Newark at the BOCES Conference Center. And that information will be shared with the planning board and zoning board members for their potential participation. They have land use and secret case law, spot zoning, public hearings and meetings, and climate smart communities are some of the topics that they have. And then I also received information from our state senator Borrello, encouraging support for a piece of legislation that Senator Gallivan is sponsoring. It's an act to amend the environmental conservation law, public service law, the energy law, and the executive law, to authorize local governments to have the option of opting out of mandates and benchmarks arising under the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act and associated universal electrification requirements. So, this is, well, it's, part of it is giving municipalities the option of not having to each year switch through your fleets to electric fleet. Yeah. Yeah. So, this is for towns, villages, and cities that are under 1 million in population, which is pretty much everything that's in the but it's kind of restoring home rule back to the smaller municipalities. And that's all I have for communications. Anyone else have anything?
You've got it all.
Yeah. Okay. Highway, we met with the highway superintendent in the workshop session. He provided an update on road work. They've been in the last several weeks providing trucking services to other municipalities in the area for road projects that they are doing, because they provided workers and trucks for hauling materials when we were doing our projects in the town, so it's payback time. He also said he had a recommendation, we had the inspector in on the smoke alarm system, and they're recommending that we look at updating the smoke alarms in both this building and the highway department building. We've been doing roadside mowing, ditching work, continuing, and getting delineators to put up the roadsides during the winter time to aid visibility. As I said, in the financial section, we received our CHIPS state aid payment. And we will have one final one going in, for payment in December. And that will probably be around 80 to 90,000. Anything else on the plan? Okay, town clerk?
All right, in your package, you will find under, Department's Town Clerk monthly report for August 2025, total disbursement, $1,940. Paid to general fund, $350.12. Paid to New York State for decals, which is hunting and fishing licenses, $1,217.88. Paid to Wyoming County Treasurer for dog licensing, $270. Paid to New York State for animal population control program, $57, and paid to New York State Health Department for marriage licenses, $45. Vital statistics year-to-date, 0 births, 3 marriage permits issued, and 7 deaths.
The assessor is working on updating records. And I know he's been meeting with several residents, going over the process of assessing, answering questions. If anyone has any questions, I know he's still in the office tonight. Zoning and planning. In your packet, you have a application for a home occupation permit for a nail salon to be operating at 170 Clinton Street in Colesville by Sarah Siebert. Is Sarah here? I did speak with the health department and the technicians to have a license. She says on her application she is a licensed nail, or she's been a licensed nail technician for 11 years. But she did not include a copy of the license which we require. So, if you want to do a contingent approval, or you want to take this until our next meeting. She wants to run an appearance enhancement business inside the home, which is nails only. Hours of operation, Tuesday 3 to 8, Wednesday noon to 8, Thursday 9 to 6, Friday 9 to 3, one client at a time, for an hour or 2 at the most, and 15 minutes allotted in between to avoid overlap of clients. She has parking available in her driveway, no physical changes to the property.
I'd say as long as she provides that.
It's pretty detailed, I think that's cool.
before we, I mean, we can
Right,
approve it pending her showing that certificate.
right.
And how long does she have?
It's a 1 year home
No,
occupation.
no, how long
Oh.
are we giving her the term?
Oh,
We do that. Within a week? She has to give it to us?
yeah, she has a good, yeah.
And then
That
next,
sounds good.
and then next month we can, Joan, if you can just let us know.
Okay, can I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
And all home occupations are for 1 year. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. The other zoning matters.
Yes. You'll find in your packet, monthly report for August 2025 from Wyoming County Zoning Department, open projects, they have none listed. There's 4 permits issued. No high weed notice violations, no property maintenance violations, and no special use permits renewed and inspected. I also have, want to make note that we're in week 3 of our dog enumeration. So per New York State, we have to do a dog enumeration, it's recommended every 3 years. The rest of the towns in Wyoming County did it late last year, but we had it budgeted for this year, so that's why we did it. We did it now. So what we did is I took, the assessor gave me a list of all residents with addresses, with homes on them. So we took that list, I printed out everyone that had a dog on file, and whether their licenses were new or if they were past due. I took those names off of the resident list, and that's who we sent the enumeration letters to, everyone that did not have a dog on file with us. So I received about 20% so far, 20% response, and we have over probably 45 new dogs licensed. So we're requesting until October 1st for everyone to respond. We'll put a notice on Facebook, once again to request them to respond. And that's about it. So if you have a dog on file with us and you're paid currently, you will not have gotten this notice, and I don't need to know if you have a dog because I already know that you have a dog, so you don't have to respond to me. All right, any questions on the dog enumeration?
Does it say what they need to bring? Oh, it does.
Yep. There's been good response. I mean, everyone's been, very cordial and, very nice about it. And then, also in your packets, there is a notice of meeting for the town board, planning board, and zoning board, for the meetings in September, October, and November, so I will publish that send it out to the resident emails, and it's posted on the clerk's board. That's all I put on.
Okay.